Hello and welcome to VOP Business. I am Kayla Abraham. With just about a week left to the end of President Muhammadu Buhari's 8-year tenure, VOP Business will be introducing a series on how he has fared in managing the economy and whether life is better and easier for Nigerians today than it was in 2015 when he was sworn in. Our focus today is on jobs. In 2022, the Nigerian unemployment was put at 37.7%, but has risen even further now to 41% due to the continuing inflow of job seekers who have swelled the job market. Unemployment is expected to continue to be a major challenge due to the limited investment by the private sector, low industrialization, and slower than required economic growth, and consequently, the inability of the economy to absorb the 4 to 5 million new entrants into the Nigerian job market every year. There is a prediction that in 2024, the unemployment rate will grow to 43%. Additionally, government revenue remains inadequate to support much needed expenditure, leading to a high debt stock and high debt service payments. The Nigerian economy ended the past year with a GDP growth rate of 3.52% in Q4 2022, compared with the 2.25% in Q3 2022, with growth averaging 3.10% over 2022. These are the facts, but we will now quickly bring in Mr. Defaul Oyewole, a global affairs analyst and economic strategist, to help us interpret these figures. You are welcome, Mr. Defaul.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Let me start with this. How have you summed the performance of this administration in jobs?
Not very good, I must say. Not very good. Not very good. Because, in 2015, if you cast your mind back, in 2015, when this administration came in, it took them 6 months to appoint ministers. And that in itself grounded economic activities greatly, because a lot of people didn't know what was going on. There was so much uncertainty, so there wasn't a lot of capital released in the markets. And it wasn't just about capital being released, it was also about people not being hired, because if I'm not going to invest a lot into my business, why do I need to hire a lot more people? Because of the uncertainty. People weren't sure if they were going to lay off the persons they hired after 3 months or after 6 months. So there was a freeze on hiring, there was a freeze on investments, there was a freeze on anything that had to do with investing in businesses in whatever way, shape, or form, either it be financial or it be human resource. So that, for me, was a huge red flag, and it was sort of a pointer as to how or what we had to expect with this administration in terms of the economics of it all. But so far, it hasn't been, I wouldn't score them a high mark, because it hasn't been very, very encouraging. Unfortunately, it was with this same administration that hadn't been doing well with economics that we had COVID in 2020. And we rode that out for 2 years, like every other nation globally. And we're here now today where we have a huge leap from 35% to 41%. And for people that do not understand how much of a leap that is, that means that at 41%, that means if you have 10 productive young Nigerians, or 10 productive Nigerians, or 10 Nigerians of productive age, however way you want to phrase it, 4 of them are without employment. And for me, I believe that if you do go to the streets and you try to run a quick search and analysis of this particular experiment, you will find that in a way it is more than 4 people if you have 10 people lined up. But unfortunately, that is where we are right now, and we're hoping that things get better.
All right. Can we say that not enough jobs were created by, or none at all?
Well, it is multifaceted. One, a lot of jobs were not created. 1, 2, some jobs that were created, there were some redundancies. And 3, with the volume of graduates that we have in the country, unfortunately, the private sector doesn't have that much capacity to absorb a huge volume of them, unfortunately, and that's the reality. And that is what we've been telling government for the last couple of years, not just this administration, but even the one before them, that they need to invest heavily in not just infrastructure, but human capital. Now, this is where that comes in. When you understand that you investing in infrastructure means that my own business will grow. Because my business grows means I need more resources. More resources in the terms of financial resources, gaining access to capital, and human resources to help deploy those financial resources and carry out tasks as at when due. Unfortunately, that isn't what a lot of businesses have recorded over the years. And like I said, COVID came, a lot of businesses had to slow down, a lot of businesses had to shut down. And some businesses are even yet to recover from COVID right now. But aside from COVID, the various economic policies, the various issues, I'll give you an example. A couple of months ago, we're still grappling with the issue of the Naira and all of that. And the report came out that the Nigerian economy itself lost 20 trillion Naira. Now, it isn't just about losing money, but you think the economy will lose 20 trillion or even 20 million and people won't lose their jobs? Of course, people lost their jobs because people lost their businesses. If someone loses their business, there's no reason to keep paying staff. There's no reason to keep having staff. There's no reason for that. So these are the issues, and these are part of the larger conversations that we've been having with government over the and we've said they should prioritize how certain things should be and how they should go. But unfortunately, that isn't what we've seen so far.
All right, Mr. Oyewole, why did the numbers only keep rising? The numbers kept rising. Why? Why is that?
Yeah, I just stated the factors, and because there wasn't anything in place, there were no systems to stem the tide. There were no systems to stem the tide of having to have the labor market accommodate a huge volume of graduates that enter the labor market. There wasn't enough incentive for a lot of businesses to hire a lot more people because, like I said, businesses had been struggling over the years. Some people had to shut down. Some people had to leave the country entirely as individuals and as businesses. So there is no reason why that would encourage people to hire. And unfortunately, we've had these challenges year on year, and it had been increasing. So that is why we're where we are today. And until there is a stem in the tide, or there is a reversal altogether, which will take a longer time, but in the interim, we must stem in the tide of these factors that I had mentioned earlier to see that we are able to give the private sector the opportunity to be able to absorb a lot more people. And the only way that happens is when those businesses grow. Because if a business isn't growing, there is no reason to increase their overhead or their exposure financially or with human capital or with hiring people altogether. So these are the issues, and until something is done, we will keep having this conversation year on year like we've been having.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Defaul. It was nice having you here. Many thanks.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
The federal government may save about 35 trillion naira in fiscal expenditure within the next 5 years with the commencement of operations at the Dangote Refinery and petrochemicals. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, disclosed this on Monday during the ceremony to inaugurate the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and petrochemical facility in Ibeju-Lekki, Lagos. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, who inaugurated the refinery, which is currently the world's largest single-train petroleum refinery, said his regime had been deliberate about ensuring public-private partnerships. He described the refinery as the milestone for the Nigerian economy and a game-changer for the downstream petroleum market in the African continent. At the inauguration, which had in attendance senior government officials from Nigeria and other African countries, Buhari described the refinery as a game-changer, just as the founder and chairman Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, declared the facility would put an end to the inflow of toxic substandard petroleum products into Nigeria. The Director General of National Information Technology Development Agency, Kashifu Inuwa, has said that almost 30% of Africa's foreign direct investment ends in Nigeria. According to him, the Nigerian tech ecosystem has attracted about $4.4 billion investment in 2015, 2019, and 2020 cumulatively. And ICT contributed about 18.5% to country's gross domestic product. Inwa said this at the Leaders Without Borders Annual Business Summit and International Honors 2023 in London, with the theme Business Beyond Borders, Global Partnerships and Sustainable Investment, a global event that brings together business leaders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders from around the world to promote collaboration and innovation in the business world. The Director General recalled the N7tr as a government agency established in 2001 to help Nigerians in the use of information technology, had supported about 753 startups in different ways through training, seed funding, and grants. It added that through the agency's effort, 120 million Nigerians currently have access to the internet, not just computer. He noted that the digital economy had created a pathway for emerging technologies, providing opportunities for talented youths in Africa to emerge as global leaders through harnessing their potential. According to the N7tr boss, fintech companies in the country are almost twice bigger than its biggest bank. He claimed that the biggest bank in the country was valued about $1.6 billion, while Flutterwave was almost $3.6 billion. Inwa noted that the agency had been doing a lot in the area of digital literacy, using local language to enable every Nigerian to be able to use digital devices and consume digital services. Inwa further revealed that under the IT project clearance, the agency had saved this country money from duplication of projects by ministries, departments, and agencies. According to him, from 2019 to date, N7tr through the project has saved the country over 305 billion naira from IT project implementation in MDAs towards improving effectiveness and efficiency in executing government IT projects across the country. The Debt Management Office has refuted the claim by a non-governmental organization, Socio-Economic Right and Accountability, that Nigeria has defaulted in repaying its Chinese loans. SERAP, in a statement yesterday, hailed the judgment that ordered the present regime led by the President Muhammadu Buhari to account for how it spent $460 million obtained from China to fund the Abuja closed-circuit television project, which later was not implemented. But DMO, in its rebuttal, said the statement is false as Nigeria has not defaulted in its loan repayment. DMO said on Monday, and I quote, "Nigeria is fully committed to housing its debt obligations and has not defaulted on any of its debt service obligations." End quote. The federal government has announced that unlicensed petroleum products dealers would be no longer allowed to load products from June 1, 2023, as it vowed to shut down such businesses beginning from that day. It warned that from June 1, 2023, anyone who wants to deal in petroleum products must obtain a license, stressing that no license would mean no loading of petroleum products. The government gave the warning in Abuja through the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority as a stakeholders' engagement on gas utilization in Nigeria. The objective of the engagement was to enlighten operators on the need to urgently obtain the requisite petroleum storage license and to engender the transition from white products to gas. And that is a wrap on VOP Business. I am Kayla Abraham, and thanks for watching.